Bismillah Alhamdulillah for another appearance on the Islamic College Osogbo e-learning program, the government section, where we used to review the past questions of our two bodies of exam that we have in this country, the most popular bodies of exam that we have in this country, WAEC and NECO. If you are finding us on this platform, we've already had a segment of 5 different episodes where we reviewed questions under essay type, that is the theory aspect of our government exam. So we treated different questions across the different topics of our government syllabus. And we had another segment, the second segment, where we deal with the multiple choice type question, that is OBJ. We are still on it. So we've already had 2 episodes under the segment. But in the last segment, we had under the multiple choice type question. I said it is very, very essential that we have an episode that we deal with the logic of answering questions. How we can come about the question, the techniques that we are going to adopt in order to give appropriate response to the questions in the exam. Because the first thing is to know the content of the subject matter. And the second thing is to know the logic, the techniques to go about the question and giving correct and accurate, appropriate response to the question. So this segment, inshallah, we believe that it will take care of this, where we are going to review different techniques that are embedded in the way the 2 bodies of exam use to structure their own questions. So we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. So we want to, the first thing is to look at, okay, you could see the reveal of the standardized assessment on government. So that's what we are doing. We want to review the standardized assessment on government. So a critique on senior school certificate examination of the 2 exam bodies, WAEC and NECO. What do we mean by the word standardized? Standardized assessment. What do we mean by the word standardized assessment? Assessment is just like exam. It's the same thing like exam. Test. So that is what we call assessment. We want to determine how far you have gone as regards your learning. Do you retain it? We want to retrieve that information from you. We want to elicit it. If the information is really in you, we want to determine that. So that is what we call assessment. In every assessment, we must have the stimulus and the response. And the stimulus and the stimulus is the same thing with question that you have in your question paper. That is, for example, what is the meaning of question? That is stimulus. The response is your own answer that you provided to that question. So that is what we call assessment. But the word standardized, what does it mean? Standardized is a test. It's administration of tests for the large sample of students. When we administer a test, examination, as we are talking about, when we administer a test for the large population under a uniform condition and under a uniform scoring, and that's what we call the standardized. So unlike teacher-made test or teacher-made assessment, that is the assessment that is prepared by your teacher, by your government teacher in the school. You've been doing different, exams in your school, especially under this subject matter government. You've been having different exams since your SS1. At least you might have had like 5 or 6 different exams across your SS1 and SS2 students' life. So, but all the exams that you've been doing are all teacher-made tests because they are all prepared by your teacher. So there is no objectivity in that exam, because the teacher knows you very well. Is going to be influenced by your personality, is going to be influenced by the school policy and some other factors during the time he or she is setting the question, during the time he is marking it, scoring you. But this standardized exam is administered for the large sample of students. It's a nationwide exam. So the two bodies of exam do not know you in particular. Take for example now, WAEC is meant for not Nigerian students alone, also the West African country students. NECO is meant for all the students in all the 36 states of this country, both public schools and the private schools. So under a uniform condition, not that they are going to set that of the Oyo state differently from the Ogun state, under the same uniform condition, and is going to be scored under uniform standard. So that is what we call standardized exam, and that does not mean that WAEC or NECO is going to give you question beyond what your teacher taught you had already taught you in the class. No, the questions that are going to come out under WAEC and NECO, they are within the same syllabus, the same curriculum that your teacher married, that from which your teacher prepare your lesson notes, from which teacher teaches you in the classroom. So that is the same question, the question from WAEC and NECO. So they are coming from the same source, where your teacher also draw your the questions for you during this teacher made test. But the only difference that we have under it is that it's going to be in the manner that is quite different from your own teacher. So when we are going through the review, you will understand it. But just know that standardized assessments is made for the large population. So it's a nationwide exam under a uniform condition and uniform scoring. WAEC and NECO, the bodies of the achievement test in Nigeria. So WAEC and NECO, that we said they are the most two popular exams that we have in this country. The two are achievement tests. What do we understand about the achievement test? We do have other tests. We have aptitude tests, we have intelligence tests, then we have achievement tests as we are having it here. So achievement test is the test that want to retrieve the information that you have learned so far during your studentship. Since your SS1, we want to determine if you really learned the information and you retained it in your mind. So if you are unable to reproduce it, that means you have achieved. So you can be called achiever. This achievement test that you've achieved for the very long period of training that you have undergone during your studentship in school. You know, WAEC and NECO come at the tail of your studentship, SS3, when you are in school. So it's going to determine if at all you really gained from the learning process. So that is what we call achievement test. Unlike JAMB is aptitude test. Now, aptitude test is a test of potentiality. They want to determine in you if you have the potential to be coded in the university program. So that's why you will see that JAMB is meant for getting admission into university. They want to determine you, can you be really coded or not when you are given admission to the university. Then WAEC under every exam has two sections, at least two sections. We have the multiple choice type, and then we have the essay type. So we do have other types under the assessment, but these are the two common, the popular types. So under the multiple choice type for WAEC, it consists of 50 questions, 50 different questions, starting from many of government down to the international organization. WAEC is so conservative that and progressive. I should put it in that way, because WAEC used to follow a progressive way of answering question under the objective. What I mean by progressive is that the question is going to start from the beginning of the topics at the beginning, and it will be going like that in the progressive till the question reach the last topic. That is why if you take a look at it, you can go and observe it. So when you see some question under number 48, 49, 50, you will see that all these questions, they are likely to be under, international organization, foreign policy, international interaction among the nations, and the likes. So the tail topics of our government syllabus. So that is how WAEC is to structure the question. You should try to be sensitive to that. So you are going to attempt 50 questions under the objective type, that is the multiple choice type. Then we have uh, essay type under the WAEC, and it comprises 10 questions of two sections, section A and section B. Section A comprises 55 questions, and section B comprises 5 questions as well. Under section A, that comprises 5 questions. So the questions under section A, they are under what we call element of government, element of politics. That is the topics between the meaning of government and local government administration. Our government syllabus is of two kinds. It's of two segments. We have the element of government, the first segment. Then we have political and constitutional development of Nigeria, the second segment. So the first section, section A of WAEC, the question under it within the element of government, that is between the meaning of government and local government administration. And section B, that also comprises 50 questions. They are questions under the second segment that we called political and constitutional development on Nigeria. So it started from pre-colonial administration and international organization. So under the section A that we said is within our element of government, you are going to attempt 2 questions out of 5 questions. It may be A and B, that should be 1 question, then 2A and B, another question. But you are going to answer 1 or 2, 2 or 3, 3 or 4, 4 or 5, 2 questions. For the section B, you are going to attempt 3 questions. So of any of the 5 questions under the section. So, and recently we observed the WAEC has limited the question to 2 under section A and 2 under section B. So that is, you are going to have 4 altogether. The first one you are going to have 5 altogether. You should either one of the 2, so you should be preparing for that. And the difference under it is that under the first one that you are going to have 5 questions, each question is going to carry 12 marks, because everything under essay type A, so everything is 60 marks. So the obtainable marks that you are going to have under the essay type is 60 marks. So if you are attempting 4 questions, means that you are going to have 15 marks for 1 question. That is 15 multiplied by 4. So you will see that it is 60. Then if it is 5 questions, so you are going to have 12 marks for each question. So 12 multiplied by 5, you are going to have 60. So you should prepare for that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. For the NECO, the same thing also applies to NECO. We have the multiple choice type, consists of 60 questions, unlike WAEC. For WAEC, we have 50 questions under the multiple choice type. But for NECO, we have 60 questions within 1 hour, which means that you are going to attempt a question within 1 minute. If you spend more than 1 minute, it means that you have already, beyond the time limit. There should be a time limit that will make you to be conscious of what you are doing in order to determine the accuracy of the information in you, and in order to determine the differences of the community development among the students. So the essay type of the NECO, the essay type comprises 10 questions as well for two sections. So section A, unlike WAEC, so we have 4 questions. For WAEC we have 5 questions, but section B we have 6 questions. And the same thing also applicable to the section B. So we have element of government, and we have the political and constitutional development of Nigeria. So for section A, as I've explained earlier, so all the questions are going to be within the element of government. Section B, the questions are going to be within the political and constitutional development of Nigeria. So you should note that. Inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we want to look at the scoring and the grading. So under the two exam, I have said it earlier, under the multiple choice that you are going to have 50 or 60 questions for WAEC and NECO respectively. Each question carries 1 mark. That is, you are going to have at the end of the day 50 marks, obtainable mark, under multiple choice for WAEC. Then at the end of the day, you are going to have 60 for obtainable mark under the NECO. If you get everything right, so you are going to have 50, 60 among the two. So whatever you get, that is over 50 or over 60. Say you understand. So each question carries 1 mark. Then essay type. So I've already explained it. We have 12 marks if you are going to attempt 5 questions, 15 marks if you are going to attempt 5 questions and 4 questions. Sorry. And the grading, you can see we have 75 and above A1, we have 70 to 74 B2, 65 to 69 B3, 60 to 64 C4, 59 to 50, 55 to 59 C5, and 50 to 54 C6. So what this means is that whatever you get from the theory and the objective is going to be added together and be calculated in their own subjective standard, so to give you what you are going to have under the grade at the end of the day. But what I know is that, so for WAEC, that we are having 60 under the section B, under the essay type. We have 60 for objective, that is multiple choice, we have 50. So adding together we have 110. So that is the obtainable mark. So your own mark is going to be whatever you score over this obtainable, over 110 multiplied by 100 over 1, because percentage, we are going to have the percentage that is 100 over 1. So that is going to be your own obtained mark at the end of the day. So obtained mark is going to be plotted under the standard of the grade. If it's between 70 to 74, you are having your B2. If it is 75 paper, you are having your A1. If it's 50, between 50 to 59, means that you are having your C5. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala apportion you with good grade and put barakah in it. Now we want to be analyzing the two types of the section that we have in our exam. The first one that we call the essay type. Is a test that requires a response composed by the examinee by the testees, unlike select response of the multiple choice type. That is, under the essay type, you are going to compose your question, you are going to construct it. You are not going to be provided with any options. So they will just write the question, then you are going to supply your answer based on what you have learned in the class, during the class when you are in school. And this thing want to determine the understanding to construct solution in you. So, and it targets two things in the student, in the life of the student. The first one is to assess student understanding of the subject matter content. Number two, to assess students' ability to reason with knowledge of the subject matter. So the first one, that do you really understand the content of the subject matter. That is the specific information that is under political science, under political parties. You really understand public administration and the features of public administration. You really understand the merits of federalism and the merits of these are the content. So the assessment want to determine that in you. The essay type under the assessment want to test that in you, determine that in you, if you really understand all these contents. The second is to ability to reason with the way the examiner is going to structure the question, to reason with them, because they want to ask information, specific information about what you have learned. They wanted to ask questions about federalism, but they are going to structure in another way. Inshallah, we are coming to explain that. Just understand it like that. When we have the chart and explain it, we understand it very well. So then, this essay type exam that we have said, essay type of our exam that we've already said is, we have some essential elements in them, and they are three. The stem is the statement of the question, the sentence of the question. So that is what we call STEM, and it is the same thing with the intended learning outcome, but embedded in the new context by students. But you see the word but embedded in a new context require that the student to reason with the knowledge base. What this thing is trying to tell us is that the learning outcome is the same thing with learning objective that your teacher had in his lesson note when he came to teach you the subject matter. You could see that always your teacher or your teachers come with lesson notes. So inside the lesson note, we have a place where we had our learning objective. So what is supposed to have achieved, what's supposed to have learned at the end of the lesson. This is what we call learning outcome. So the same, that is the statement of the question, is going to be the same thing, intended to ask something about the learning outcome, the learning objective. Do you understand? The question, be it at the multiple choice or the essay type, we are discussing of essay type now, is intended to ask questions about that learning objective that your teacher taught you in the class, but embedded in a new context. That is, in the new context, is going to be structured in another way, in another word by the examiner, not in the same way that your teachers structure it when you were learning it in the class. And it requires students to reason with it, that this thing is the same thing with what my teacher taught me this way. That is what we are trying to pinpoint here, and you should try to understand it. So you should not expect WAEC to ask the question in the same manner your teachers asked it in the class. And we've already said that this is the standardized exam that is meant for the large population. So WAEC NECO does not know you, WAEC or NECO does not know you in particular. So they set exam for the large number of students, regardless of the school that you come from or the state that you come from. Maybe you are from Nigeria or you are from Gambia, or WAEC. So that is what you need to understand. So you should be able to reason. I used to said it in our previous episode that government is not about cramming. It's about to understand and reason and on. This is what I'm trying to express. So then the second one is the directive verb. What do we understand about directive verb? So directive verb is a word that is meant to elicit particular information about the student understanding about the subject matter. So like explain, like highlight, like outline. So specific information, the particular, the way you are going to respond. You are going to respond to the question. So that is directive verb. It's very, very essential under essay type, and when you have the experience, all these practices that you have been doing, you will observe that we have words like explain, highlight, and there is a section here that I'm coming to explain it one by one. Allah inshallah will make it easy. And then we have object of the verb. Object of the verb are the added phrase or clause or sentence that carries the information, that is the content. So carries the information, so that added to the directive verb. Directive verb say explain. Explain, the word explain is a directive verb. Various types of political participation. Explain one. Various types of political participation. That various type of political participation means object of the verb that carries out the information, that carry the information about the subject matter, that is the content about the subject matter you're supposed to have understood. You can see this chart. We are using it to explain it very well. You see under the content, it is a specific information in the question. The specific information. Is this about federalism? That is why I used to tell my students, if you read very well, you've understood the subject matter very well, immediately you see the question, you're supposed to have located where the question comes from. Is it under political party or pressure group or public opinion, which under headings, sub-headings. So you're supposed to have understood it. That is why it is very, very important that you should read. Read, my student. Inshallah, Allah will make it easy for you. You see the context. The context, it comprises the directive verb and the object of the verb that I've explained earlier. So that is the context. It may not be the same way your teachers in the school structured it in his or her lesson notes or during the exam in the question paper that he gave you. So, but it's supposed to be able to reason along with it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make it easy. So we are talking of the content and the context. I want to reemphasize. The content is specific information that you have already had, but the context, the new way, the exam body structure the question, but you are going to reason along with it and to determine that it is asking about the content that you have learned in the class. So look at the examples. Example one, the first example is, in what 3 ways can the public opinion be formed in your country? So this one is not content, this one is context. The word content here is a mistake. So it meant context. Context, that is the environment where the content is structured, is located. That is what we call context. Context, you understand? So you will see that they understand what the question is asking about, the formation of public opinion, that you had it during the classroom activities. So it's about understanding of the content and the reason with the context. So you are going to reason with the context, the way the question is structured here. So here we see that the question is structured in this way. In 3 ways the public opinion can be formed in your own country. This is not the same way that your teacher wrote it for you in the class. So under the topic, your public opinion, your teacher just said formation of the public opinion. What are the things that used to bring about the forming of public opinion? So you're supposed to have reasoned with the question, the context of the question based on the content that you have already had under the guidance of your teacher during the classroom activities. Then look at another example. We have, in the democratic system, sovereignty resides in. So you see the word sovereignty, you can see my arrow under sovereignty, under sovereignty here, heading to the contents. That is the content, the specific information is that sovereignty. The question is asking about sovereignty. So under democratic and the word reside is context. In context, the way they structure the question. So the correct answer to this one is electorate. So, and the thing is, you can see what I've written below. That is notes in your textbook or in your notebook that written for you by your class teacher. It is just written as location of sovereignty. Location of sovereignty. So you're supposed to reason that sovereignty resides. Where does it live? It means that where does it locate? So that is, it located under electorate in democratic system. You see, at this structure, letter should tell you the location of sovereignty in different types of government that we have. So we have different types of government under fascism. So the sovereignty is located in the supreme power. So the supreme leader of the political system. Under the military system, sovereignty is located in the Supreme Military Council. Under the democratic, as we are having it here, is located in the electorate, that is the qualified adult citizens that can vote and be voted for. Under the monarchical system, is located in the coin. It's located in the coin, and different kinds of exam and different types of government that we have. So that is another example. I think you can see it very well. The content and the context. The content is what you have already learned. That's the information that you have already had. The information that are already present in you. But the context is the new way that the exam bodies, the two exam bodies, going to structure the information. You should not be confused. So you should reason along with it and relate it to the content that you have received on your class, from your teacher during the classroom activities. So this is familiarize yourself with the directive verbs used under essay type. We have different directive verbs and they are meant for different information elicited. So though I categorize them into two groups, we have at the left hand side, we have the highlight, outline, state, identify, mention, enumerate, word, distinguish, and differentiate, then list. They are like in the same direction, just to state. But under the second group, we have explain, define, discuss, examine, account, describe, and state, and trace. So that is, you are going to add little information. So compared to the first directive verbs that we have under the first group. But there is one thing I want you to note, and you need to be observant of. You see, there are some textbooks, the textbooks available under the subject matter, the government. Most of textbook, the pattern, the style that they have adopted is that they will state a word and they will explain it under each concept. Let us give you an example. What are the features of the prayer group? And they will state merit. Now they will now explain the concept of merit in front of it. If you are asked in the exam to state, please don't state merit alone. Don't state merit alone. If you stated merit, then you explain what you've understood in a single sentence. What you understood as merit. Because WAEC will tell you the markers, those that are going to mark your note, they are already instructed that if merely mention, then you give them 1. If mention and explain, then you give them the full mark. You see, there are some other way of structuring the question. They used to say state and explain. But if I'm re-emphasizing it, please get it right. If you are asked to state, please state it and explain. If you are to raise a point. But some textbooks, they don't normally state it, a word. They will just state the sentence, the statement to describe the word merit system. So if you supply that one, you don't need to explain anymore. Say you understand. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid your understanding as regard the subject matter. You see, under multiple choice type, multiple choice assessment is an assessment format that consists of the question or statement that's called a stem, or an series of answer choices called distractors. That is, multiple choice comprises of two things. The stem, as we've explained it earlier, the statement of the question. But the distractor is what we are going to emphasize on this slide. So you see, under NECO we have A to E distractors. Under WAEC we have A to D distractors. Distractors are the options. What you call options? They are distractors. They are there to distract your attention away from the correct answer. If you have misconception about the subject matter, about the concepts in the questions, so it means that you are going to be distracted away and you are going to be confused. You are going to supply wrong answer to the question. But if you are, you have the clarity about the question, so you are going to get it. So under NECO, you see we have the strata, the options are 5 between A and A, telling us that the tendency to get wrong answer is wide, is wider compared to WAEC where we have 4 options, because the the expanded of the options, the more the expanded option or the strata is, the most is the high tendency of getting wrong answer, So, and in this standardized assessment, all the distractors, those that are not correct answer, they are going to be written in a way that it may somehow similar with the correct answer. So the examiners, the experts, they know how to structure something like that, and your teacher may not have the experience of this. Especially, I used to see some things like this in JAMB. You see that all the options, they may just be to you alike, and they are not alike. So anyway, so we are coming to even look at some different logics, so under the multiple choice. But what we are to learn here is that distractors are there to confuse you, to get you away from, to bring you away from getting to or pointing on to the correct answer. So you should understand the content of the information very well if we are to give the appropriate answer to the questions. Inshallah, Allah will make it easy. So we want to be looking at the various approaches, logics that we observed in this 2 examples. The first one is correct answer approach. Correct answer approach is targeting, aiming to determine the correct answer out of the 4 options. The correct one, the correct information about the question out of the 4 options that we have, out of the other 3 distractors in the question. You can see the example. The Nigerian federalism is a dash, A 4-tier system, B 3-tier system, C 2-tier system, and D 1-tier system. You see that our correct answer underlined is 3-tier system, where we have federal government, state government, and local government. That is the only correct answer. No any other options is going to be correct aside this one. That is correct answer approach. And we have another approach, we call it best answer approach. So you can see the question under best answer approach, all the options, they may be the correct answer. They may be the correct information about the question. Let us put it in that way. All the options may be the correct information about the question, but only one is the most correct information. Only one is the most appropriate answer. You can see the example that I gave on the screen. The main function of the legislative organ is A. Approval of the treaty, B. Approval of the ministerial appointment, C. Making law, D. Delegated legislation. All the options are the functions of the legislative organ. But one is the main one. The main of the function is making law. They are the lawmakers. The legislators are the lawmakers. The main function is to make law. That should be your own correct answer. That is best answer approach. Then we have another approach here. We call it episodic approach. The word episodic is about memory about the past events. Memory about the past events and the happenings. So this logic, this approach wanted to test the ability to remember what happened in previous years, as you have learned it in the classroom. You can see the questions. We have the question said the second military coup d'etat in Nigeria took place on A. July 29, 1966, B. July 29, 1975, C. February 13, 1976, D. October 1, 1966. The first coup d'etat that we had, this one is asking the second. The first coup d'etat took place in January 15, 1966, and is the coup d'etat that toppled the government of first Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa. So that brought Angui Ironsi into the government. The second one toppled the government of Angui Ironsi and brought Gowon into the government. That one took place on the correct answer to this question is July 29, 1966. You know, Agu Ironsi, the first native president that we had in this country, spent just 6 months between January and July. So when another coup d'etat was carried out to topple his government and brought Gowon into government. So this episodic want to determine the memory of the past event as regard the political history of this country. For example, when do we have amalgamation? You know, we had it in 1914. When was Lord Lugard introduced indirect rule to the northern part of the country before he introduced it in 1914 during the amalgamation of the Southern Protectorate and Northern Protectorate, which you know that's 1906. So then all these things, which has Constitution of 1922, Clifford Constitution, Clifford Constitution of 1922, sorry, Richard Constitution of 1946, you know, Mafaxon Constitution of 1951, Livingston Constitution of 1960, Republican Constitution, Livingston Constitution of 1954, Independence Constitution of 1960, Republican Constitution of 1963, you know, and the likes. You suppose the Civil War between 1967 to 1970, the first military coup d'etat in 1966, and the like, the Western Region crisis, you know, all these things is supposed to know the date and the year that they happened in the course of political history of this country. Another episode that we are looking at is Semantic Approach, what I call Semantic Approach. Semantic, as you've understood it under your English, the semantic means the meaning of word. The meaning of word. So it's among the areas that this exam bodies used to test the ability of the students. You see, look at the question. This enfranchisement means, we want to know the meaning of this enfranchisement. It may not be structured in this way, but you will see that it's really about the semantic approach. Semantic approach. So you should understand this as well. Even the one that we have dealt with under the democratic system of government, you know, in the democratic society, sovereignty is reside. The word reside there is a semantic. So here is enfranchised. The word that you need to first of all be observant of is the word franchise. The word franchise. Franchise. You can see that word. So the word franchise is one of the contents matter. The contents that you have learned under the subject matter. Under the electoral system of government. Electoral system. Franchise means the obtained right to vote and be voted for. That is franchise. Obtained right to vote and be voted for. That is franchise. So now we say disenfranchise. The word DI, is a suffix. So it's added to the word franchise at the beginning. And the word connotes what we call negative. So if franchise means obtained right to vote, so disenfranchise means you don't have right to vote. It means what? It means of what? So be disqualified. Be disqualified, disaligned, free and fair election. Free and fair election. So one may be asked, why is it that disallowing free and fair election is the correct answer? You know, I explained it under the previous episode one of the episode that we had under the first segment of this review of the past question. That is the theory aspect. So the question is, what are the conditions suitable for the free and fair election? Before I started giving points under the question, I've explained the meaning of word free and the word fair. Freed and fair. I said the word free is for the electorate, the qualified adult citizen that have the ability to vote and be voted for. They must be free. You should lead them. You should not disenfranchise them. Hmm? So they should be allowed to vote. So if we are now saying disenfranchisement, that is, you disallow free eh, of the freedom of the electorate. You disenfranchise them. They're supposed to be enfranchised, but you disenfranchise them. You do not allow them their own freedom to vote, to partake in the political process. So if you say, you look at, I said disenfranchise is negative for the franchise. You use the first option, right to vote and vote, but that's for franchise. Right to form the government is the same thing to be voted for. That is franchise. Right to be qualified from voting. To be qualified from voting. That is to vote. So, but disallow free and fair election. You see, you're supposed to reason with the context. I used to say it. So Allah inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid your understanding, as I used to pray. Will enrich your knowledge and aid your understanding, inshallah. So the next approach is what we call informative approach. Informative approach. This informative is about information. What is really going on around you in the past and present. Is supposed to be conversant with news, newspapers, watch NTA, TBC, Channel, Al Jazeera, and all these social media outlets. So when you are going to be informed about happenings in the world. So this area I wanted to test your how you are being informed about the happenings around us. So the question that we use as an example here says the first African to hold the position of the UN Secretary General was, you have the Salim Ahmed Salim, we have Kofi Annan, we have Emeka and Yaku, we have Nelson Mandela. The correct answer to the question is Kofi Annan. Kofi Annan. So the first African black race to hold the position of the Secretary General in the country. All these book, what they call it, current affair booklets. So you can buy it and marry it so that it will add to your own information as regarding happenings around the world. The last one that we are looking at is a political jargon approach. The word jargon is the statement that I need to explain it. Jargon does not mean nonsense. It's nonsensical. It's not nonsensical. It's sensical to the professionals of that within that profession. So jargon, you under your English, that is a segment under a register. So you are going to be given essay about medicine, about agriculture, about information, and you are going to have the meaning and provide answer about some technical words. Jargon is a technical words used under a certain profession. Government as political science in advanced school, that is university, tertiary university, we call it political jargon, political science. So political jargon is a technical term used under government as a profession. So all these informations is supposed to have learnt it. What is the name given to ending of the section of the parliamentary? And when somebody, the lawmaker, is talked too much, you want to limit that speech, what is the name given to it, and the lives. These are the political science. The question says, a proclamation by the head of state ending a section of the parliament is called. The correct answer, we have the dissolution, we have the adjustment, we have the prorogation, we have the abrogation, but the correct answer is dissolution. So these are political terms. They are there for you to learn, and inshallah the expected pragmatic government textbook, that is what there's in government, contains all this information. I know that one of the chapters of the textbook, the last chapter of the textbook contains political jargon, different political terms. So you can easily learn everything in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make the publication easy. So we pray that Allah should make our exam a possible and easy one. So I wish you the best during the exam. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you and put barakah in it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi